Pooh Shiesty, baby, now they gonna be something. We got to do something. Them I ain't bullshit on them motherfuckers. Destroy America. Take and them children of the corn. Them Pooh Shiesty motherfuckers is the gremlins. Man, go watch the movie Gremlins and see how fast them motherfuckers multiply and destroy. They some violent motherfuckers. You ever listen to that boy lyrics, man?
Yeah.
Say, man, them niggas scared of the police.
Yeah, the Memphis for real.
Pooh Shiesty, man, I don't know why. Who writing his lyrics? The devil? How that boy think of all that shit? As young as he is, man, how that little think all that? How you know about all them guns? Man, that's a dangerous motherfucker. Yeah, but I like that motherfucker. I ain't bullshit. I like that.
Would you like the authenticity or what?
I like his influence. You can see a meekness to him. And you can tell he the little game related. He a different breed of a youngster.
Everyone focused on the rapper, the contract, and what allegedly happened in that Dallas studio. But there's someone in this story most people aren't paying close enough attention to, and understanding her role, who she actually is, what she's built, and how she operates when something affects the people and the empire she's protected for years, changes how the entire situation reads. That person is Kishia, not Gucci Mane's wife in the background. Not someone adjacent to the story, someone who has been at the center of how his world gets managed and protected for a long time, and whose response to what happened in January 2026 may have had more influence on how this case moved than most people realize. Before any of that matters, you have to understand who she actually is outside of the relationship. Kishia Ka'oir was born in Jamaica and built her name entirely outside of the music industry infrastructure. She didn't get a platform through an association. She created her own. When she couldn't find cosmetics products she wanted, she built a brand, and it found an audience fast. She didn't stop there. She expanded into fitness, hair care, and fashion, and ran multiple businesses simultaneously at a level that generated serious revenue, independent of anything connected to Gucci Mane. That background matters because it tells you how she thinks. She doesn't move from emotion. She moves from calculation. She identifies what needs protecting, and she builds systems around it. That mindset didn't start with marriage. It was already. The relationship with Gucci didn't start during good times. They met around 2010, when his life had real instability in it. Legal problems, an unpredictable lifestyle, stretches where there was no guarantee of what the next year would look like. Most people around him during those years eventually stepped back. She didn't. She stayed consistent through periods that had nothing obvious to offer someone trying to build their own future. That kind of loyalty, formed when there's nothing comfortable about the situation, creates a different kind of bond. By 2017, the wedding made it official. But the real foundation had been built across 7 years of staying when it wasn't easy. After the wedding, the structure around Gucci's life became more clearly organized and protected. Part of what Kishia has spoken about publicly involves how she handles moments when things start to feel destabilized, particularly around his mental health. He has been open about his diagnoses and the ongoing management they require. Her role during those periods, by her own account, is active. She cuts off external access when needed. Phones get cleared, social media gets removed, the outside world doesn't get access to him in a vulnerable state. She doesn't wait for problems to grow, she intervenes early and quietly. What that tells you is that she's not operating in a support capacity. She's operating in a management capacity. She controls the information environment around him when circumstances require it, and she makes those decisions without hesitation. That context is important when you look at what allegedly happened in January 2026. Gucci Mane and his relationship had started with something real. When Gucci signed him to 1017 Records, it wasn't just a transactional label deal. Gucci showed genuine public support, features, promotion, public backing that went beyond contract obligations. For a young artist coming out of Memphis with raw talent and no major infrastructure, that kind of mentorship from someone at Gucci's level was significant. Back in Blood with Lil Durk changed Pooh's trajectory almost overnight. The momentum that followed was real. But in 2021, a federal case cut it short. He pleaded guilty to a firearms charge and received more than 5 years. His career paused. His catalog didn't. Music generates revenue whether the artist is present or not. Streams kept coming in. Playlists kept pushing his records. The brand that had been built kept producing value. But the artist was in no position to monitor what that meant financially, to review numbers, to ask questions, or to challenge anything. He was locked into the terms of a contract signed before everything changed, with no ability to renegotiate or verify what was happening in real time. When he came home in October 2025, the tension around that period, whatever he believed had happened to his earnings while he was incarcerated, had not been resolved. His mother had spoken publicly about it, suggesting large sums had been generated off his name during his absence. The figure being discussed reached over $25 million. Those claims were never legally adjudicated, and the full financial picture isn't publicly confirmed. But the belief was there, and that belief was driving decisions. There was also a new opportunity. Yo Gotti's label was interested, and the possibility of a fresh start with different terms was real. The problem was that contractually, he was still tied to 1017. You can't sign a new deal while an active contract with another label is in place. Whatever the disagreements about how his catalog had been handled while he was inside, the legal relationship hadn't been dissolved. On January 10, 2026, a small group connected to Gucci flew to Dallas for what they were told was a business meeting to discuss contract terms. They had no reason to expect anything unusual. It was framed as a standard sit-down, the kind that happens constantly when two sides need to reach an agreement face-to-face. What they walked into was not that. According to federal allegations, he arrived at the recording studio with a group that included his father and Big 30. The people who came for a conversation were separated immediately. One group taken to the recording room, another held in the control room. That kind of separation only happens when everyone in the room already knows their role. In the recording room, he allegedly produced an AK-style firearm. Contract termination documents were already prepared, brought specifically for this purpose, not written in the moment. Gucci was told to sign them. He initially refused. With a weapon present and multiple people in the room, the papers were eventually signed. His father reviewed the documents, noted a missing date, and the paper was pushed back under the same conditions. Big 30 recorded a video of Gucci verbally confirming the release, documentation meant to make the agreement usable afterward. In the control room, the situation turned physically violent. One victim was choked to the point of near unconsciousness. Movement was restricted. Items were taken: jewelry, cash, personal belongings. Several people present said afterward they didn't know if they would make it out of the building alive. The entire situation lasted more than an hour. When it was over, the group left. But Pooh Shiesty was still under supervised release at the time, which meant his movements were being tracked via GPS ankle monitor. When investigators began looking into the Dallas incident, they didn't need to reconstruct his presence through witnesses alone. The location data placed him at the exact address at the exact time. Surveillance footage from the studio and surrounding businesses corroborated the timeline. Social media posts appearing shortly after showed items resembling what had been taken. Phone records showed travel patterns matching the days leading up to January 10th. The evidence came from multiple independent sources, each one reinforcing the same picture. Now, where Kishia Ka'oir fits into what happened after is less clear in the public record. And that distinction matters. People close to the situation suggested she pushed for the case to be handled seriously rather than quietly. That she wasn't willing to let what happened be absorbed and moved past the way some situations in the industry get absorbed and moved past. Whether those claims are accurate in the specific sense, or whether they represent the general logic of who she is and how she operates, someone who doesn't let threats to what she's built go unaddressed, is difficult to confirm from the outside. What is accurate is that the case moved quickly. It was treated with the seriousness that federal kidnapping and armed robbery allegations demand. No part of it was minimized. Dee and multiple co-defendants, including his father, are now facing charges that carry potential sentences reaching decades under federal law. No verdict has been reached. Everyone involved is legally presumed innocent until proven otherwise. But the contrast of the full arc is hard to sit with. He came home with real momentum. His name still carried weight. There was a legitimate path forward. A new deal, a reset, a career that still had years ahead of it. And the clearest example of how to navigate exactly that situation was the person he allegedly walked into that studio to threaten. Gucci Mane had been through federal time. He'd come back. He'd rebuilt. He'd created exactly the kind of stability that a second chance is supposed to make possible. That example was right there. Whatever legitimate grievances existed about how his catalog was handled during his incarceration, and those grievances may well have had real substance, the decision made in January 2026 didn't resolve them. It created consequences that will take years to understand fully. And behind all of it, operating the way she always has, quietly, strategically, with the full weight of someone who built her own empire before anyone was watching, is the person this story has always really been about. Do you think Kishia Ka'oir's influence on how the situation was handled has been underestimated? Or is the focus on her role overstated? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more breakdowns on the people and decisions shaping hip-hop right now.